Hola people, this is Carlos from C2C, and today we're going to be working on different techniques to create corner to corner crochet, one of my favorite techniques. We have some with double crochet and some others with half double crochet. We also have different numbers of chains. I have prepared these 4 squares for us, 4 by 4 squares, so we can see the difference between them. As you can see, the size is not that much, but once you put them together, once you do a large project, then you start noticing. For today's tutorial, we're going to be using a 5mm hook or H hook. I will also use medium size 4 yarn, and because it's fall, I thought this orange will be nice. We'll also be using some cream color, brown color, but feel free to use the one that you love the most. I have right here my bobbins that, though I didn't create for this project, are very helpful for this kind of work on C2C or corner to corner. If you want to learn more about how to do them for your project, go to this video that I'm linking right here in this corner. So let's start by the most conventional one, which I call double crochet 6-3. I've decided to name them like this because it helps me to remember. You will find other names like traditional or mini, etc. But I feel that saying the stitch that we're using and the number of chains that we need, it's the most helpful for me. I also decided to show you the graph because when I learned crochet, I didn't know graphs, and now that I'm understanding them, a whole new world is opening for me. So I feel that this is helpful for you too. So we're going to chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then we're going to do 3 double crochet on each chain. So let's see how that looks with the yarn. We grab our yarn, we do a slip knot, let's do that again. And by the way, if you want a slower tutorial on these basic skills, I also got you. Right here in this corner is the video. You can also check my website for these tutorials. So we're back, grab your hook, and then we're going to chain 6. One, 2, 3, grab your yarn, 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Awesome! I think this is the most used one. And now we're going to count 1, 2, 3, and 4 from the hook. Or I like to count on the other side in my last 3 chains. So here we go. Pull through, grab our yarn. We have 3 loops. We pull 2 through and then pull through. That was a double crochet. Yarn over, go through a second chain, 3 loops, pull through. That was a 2. And pull through 2 again. And our last one, grab your yarn, pull through 2, and then pull through 2 again. And I want to show you in a graph right here how it looks, how it compares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chains, and then we have 3 double crochet. That's why I like the graph, because you can actually see it and compare it to your crochet. Now we're going to do our second square. Chain 6, because we are on the border. 1, 2, 3. I like to grab it there, and then 3 more. And now we do 3 double crochet. We count 1, 2, 3, and find that chain. and do a double crochet. Pull through 2 and then pull through 2 more. And now we repeat that again. Yarn over, go through a loop, pull through 2 and pull through 2 again. We have 2 squares. Now we have to join this part to the space on the chain 2. So we're going to turn this like this. You have 2 and now you turn this like this. Find that space and now we slip stitch, pull up a loop and then pull through. And there we are in the space. Look at that. Now we're going to chain 3. And that's where the 3 comes from the name. When we're inside of the work, we're going to chain 3. And now we're going to work inside of the space and do 3 double crochet. I also sometimes say 3 instead of 3. That's my Spanish coming. Now, because we are in the border and we're going to increase, we're going to do a chain 6. 1, 2, 3. I grab it there. 1, 2, and 3. That was 6 chains. We can count from the hook or we can count backwards. That's why I like to grab it, because I know where it is. So now we just repeat 3 double crochet. And our last double crochet, pull through 2 and pull through 2. Now we turn our work. And now we slip stitch through the space of chain 2. Find that space, pull up a yarn, and then pull through. And now, because we are inside of the work, we chain 3. I like to get this snuggle here so I can work more comfortably. Now find that space and do your 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and your third double crochet. Now get this back, and now we slip stitch through the space of chain 2. Chain 3. It is good to repeat because then you start to remember. Now we're going to do 3 double crochet inside the space. 1. Now that is 2. And that's the third one. Now we reach the border and we're going to increase. We're going to chain 6 now. 1, 2, and 3. I grab it right there. 4, 5, and 6. And that's the beauty of corner to corner. We just repeat this. First double crochet, second double crochet, and 3. Now we turn our work and attach it right there with a slip knot. It really becomes second nature once you get the idea of it. Yarn over, pull up a loop, go through 2, go through 2. Let me get a little bit more of yarn, and look, my bobbin going everywhere. Oh, here it goes. Now another double crochet, 1, 2, and then our last one. And now we keep just joining the squares with a slip knot, then we chain 3 and 3. I sometimes like to count to be sure that I'm doing the right amount of chains or double crochet. Let me get that down there, and now our last double crochet and join with a slip knot. This technique gives you a little bit more of a loose project. Look at how you can see the spaces on it. Now that we've reached the last square of our square, we're going to decrease because we're doing a 4x4 corner to corner. Can you see how it has large gaps? That is because of this technique. Now we're going to decrease. So this is your last square, and we're going to turn our work. You can put that to the back. And now you're going to find those chains, 1, 2, and 3, plus your space. We're going to slip stitch right there in that space. That's your first one. Pull through. You see the 2 loops or V, and then you slip stitch. Find the next space, pull up a loop, and then slip stitch. And then another one, our last one, and slip stitch. Awesome. And now find that space, pull up a loop. Now you have 2 options. We can slip stitch, or we can just go with our chains, 1, 2, and 3. And how do you know that you have to chain 3? Because we don't have to increase anymore. So now we double crochet. 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, and 3 double crochet. And now we're going to slip stitch. And I should say that when I said you have 2 options, it is because you can either slip stitch and make a chain 3 or make directly a chain 3. We will see that again once we have to decrease again. One, 2. I'm going a little bit faster just for time's sake, so this video is not eternal. But feel free to pause it at any time. We've reached our last one, so we're going to slip stitch, and we are not going to decrease, so we turn our work. Find those 3 spaces, and we're going to slip stitch right there. You can also decide to slip stitch on the spaces, but I like to stitch right here. Slip stitch on the chain, so 1, 2, and the third one. Okay, and this is a decrease, remember. So now we go through the space, pull up a loop, and down chain 3. This is where you can choose to slip stitch and then chain 3, or just directly chain 3. Now you just work as usual. Double crochet, double crochet, and double crochet. Now we slip stitch, we chain 3, and now 3 double crochet more. We can do it like a workout. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. And I promise you, this gets easier and easier. Now you slip stitch, and because we're not increasing, we turn our work. Find those spaces and slip stitch right there. 1, 2, and our third slip stitch. Now find that space, pull up a loop, and chain 3. And remember, we chain 3 because we're not increasing. So now we're going to do our last square. I can't wait for you to do your first one. And then we slip stitch right there. And you can decide to close it right there or to turn and go to the corner, as we've been doing. We slip stitch right there, then another one more, and then end by doing a slip stitch on that corner. Pull up a loop, and you will snip off in this time, but I won't. Let me show you. It's very stretchy, look at that. You can see some of the gaps if you stretch it. And it's a very beautiful pattern and texture. And there you go. That was double crochet 6-3. Now double crochet 5-2. Look at the numbers, how they change. Now let's see at this graph. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chains. That's where the number 5 comes from. And now we also add the 3 double crochet. So let's put this right here and start our double crochet 5-2. Do a slip knot. I'm gonna go a little bit faster just for time's sake. But remember that you can go to my website to learn more about these techniques or to pause the video and practice. Chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember that you can count from the hook or the last 3. I always feel more comfortable counting from the last 3. So double crochet as we did before. There is one. There is another one. And another one. Now let me bring the graph so we can see it side by side. We can see 3 half double crochet, the chain 2 on the side, and the chain down there. Okay, let's continue. Now we repeat, and since we're increasing, we're going to chain 5. 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3. Grab it right there and do a double crochet. Now we have to turn our work so we have that space and we can slip stitch. Now we're going to chain 2. That's where that 2 comes from. Now we do 3 double crochet. Feel free to write this down when you're working on a pattern so you can remember the numbers. But once you learn it, you will just do it freely. So we chained 2 and then 3 double crochet. Now we're going to increase, add another square, so we're going to use the number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now double crochet. And I like this technique a little bit more because it gives me less I can say that. It gives me it gives me less gaps when I'm working the final product. Now we turn our work, go through a space, and we slip stitch. Pull this down if you want to help you, chain 2, and then we double crochet. Okay, 1 and 2, and then go through 2 loops and go through 2 loops. Now get that back. See that? How awesome. Now continue working the next rows and I'll meet you to decrease. Okay, now that we have 4 squares, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. It looks like my skin. Now we're going to decrease to have a 4x4 square. This is where I like to put a stitch marker to help me remember that this is the border. If we were to increase, we will chain 5. But since we are decreasing, now we're going to turn our work and find those 3 those 3 spaces where we're going to slip stitch. Find that one that can get a little bit hidden right there. You can put that in the back to help you a little bit. 1, 2, 3. And now go through that space. 1, 2. And the third one is right there before the space. Before the chain 2 space. Since that's the ending of our work, of our border, I call it border, but it's kind of the last square. Now pull up a loop and chain 2. Because we're working on our double crochet 5, 2. Now we just continue as we were doing it. 3 double crochet in our space. I can do it, and yes, there. Now we continue and we slip stitch and we chain how many? 2. 1 and 2. And it is important that you stay consistent. The one that you start with is the one that you're going to continue all over the work. Some of them will have different names like regular or classic, traditional, modern, mini. The pattern or the designer will tell you what to use. But remember that it's important to stay consistent. So now we're going to slip stitch and turn our work to do another decrease. One, two, 3 spaces, and see that first space? There we go. 1 slip stitch, 2 slip stitch, the next space, and then the next space, our third slip stitch. Now find that space and chain 2. Chain how many? 2. Now we do 3 double crochet, and I'm going to finish with you. We're close to finish this square. 1, 2, 3. Now we chain 2, to do another square. We do 3 double crochet. It really gets easier every time that you practice more and more. Now we've reached our last one, so now we slip stitch and turn the work. Look for those 3 spaces and you will see in the top or right there. In fact, look at that big gap or space and then the one that's right next to it. Slip stitch 1, slip stitch 2, slip stitch 3. This is a tongue twister for me. And then we find that space and we chain 2 and do your last square. This is also very helpful and it's called, let me see if I can pronounce it, swatch gauche, I think it is. Even I've studied French and I don't really know how to pronounce it well. It will help you measure your tension and see if it matches or it's close to the one with the designer. I have a whole blog post about it that I will put in the description box. Remember that I told you you can just finish your work right here, so I will leave you right here. Look at how the gaps are less visible. There's still a little bit of stretch, it's still a really soft one, but it's more compact. When you put it side by side, you see how much tinier it is. It doesn't really make much difference right now, but once you have a larger project, those little differences add up. You can see through both, but 5-2 it's a little bit less see-through. Now let's go with half double crochet 5-2 or HDC 5-2. So the chain 5 as we had before, and in the center of the work we're going to be chaining 2. But now look at the graph. We have our chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 3 half double crochet. This is our sign for the half double crochet. So slip knot, fasten and secure your yarn to your hook, and let's chain 5. Remember to count either from your hook or from your last 3 chains. But remember that you have to have 3. Now you have a half double crochet. Let's do that again. You pull through, you have 3 loops, 1, 2, 3, and now you pull through all of them. The last one, 1, 2, 3, and then pull through all of them. And look how tiny that is. I will put the image right there for you to compare. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 3 half double crochet. Look how much tighter that is. Now we are increasing. Let's chain 5. So now we're going to do HDC. So pull up a loop, you have 3 loops, and pull through all of them. Pull out to 3 loops, and then the last one. And now we turn our work. Find that space and slip stitch. We do the exact same thing. Now we're going to chain 2. It really becomes repetitive and meditative even for me. So HDC 1, HDC 2, and HDC, not C, HDC 3. We finished that. Now that's our second row. We're going to start our third row. And now continue working and I'll meet you when we have to decrease. Okay, so I just reached my fourth one. 1, 2, 3 4 and 1 2 3 4. So let's decrease. We turn our work. Let me put this to the back. It's easier for you to see. And it's the same thing. You find those 3 spaces or 3 chains, and we're going to slip stitch right there. Feel free to move your work to find those spaces. They can get a little bit hidden sometimes. And that was our decrease. Now you find that space and you chain 2 because that's what we're doing right now. HDC 52. So slip stitch right there. And now let me pull some yarn. We half double crochet, half double crochet once more, and half double crochet our last one. Now we find that space and we slip stitch right there. Now that we have 4, and you can count them like that, you can turn your work. Now find those 3 chains. 1, slip stitch, 2, slip stitch, and then your third one. Right there. You got it. Now how many do we chain? 2. Now you can put this down like this and do 3 half double crochet. Slip stitch. Oops. Let me get that right. Yeah, slip stitch. Chain 2, 1 and 2. Pull this down to help me. And then some half double crochet. How many? 3 half double crochet right there. If you ever get lost, just count it. So you have your chain 2, and now we have 2 half double crochet, and we need 1 more. You can see right there, 1, 2, and 3. Now we've reached our border. We turn our work. After slip stitch, you can turn it both sides. There is no problem with that. Slip stitch. Oh, I want to do it the other way. Let me just go back. Slip stitch 1, slip stitch 2, and then the third one. Got it. Find that space and do your last square. So we chain 2, and now 3 half double crochet. Can you see how that looks? How awesome. Yeah, with a little bit more of practice, I've been getting a little bit better. Though I think in this square I made a little mistake, but mistakes are okay. I welcome them. And now, as I told you, we can slip stitch to our corner. Let me check that. Yeah. Let me just check how that looks if we do it backwards to see if there is any difference. Anyway, there are ways to put a border to it later, so don't worry much about it. 1, 2, and 3 slip stitch. Slip stitches? I think that would be the correct one. Let me know in the comments which one will be the correct one. That looks very much the same to me. And there you got it. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Look how much tighter it looks. You can see that there are less gaps and overall it looks more together. So that's our HTC 5.2. Now I brought up our DC 5.2, and now you have in a lighter brown our DC 6.3. And now let's do our last one. This is exciting. Now we have a 2HDC 4.2. So in fact, let me write down here a kind of ugly 2. And that will help me remember that we're just only going to do 2 HDC. So we're going to be chaining 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and doing only 2 half double crochet, as you can see there in the graph. It's a little bit more tighter, as you can imagine. So let's get our orange. So now with slip knot. I like making this video because it makes me practice. I'm also practicing all that entails to recording this video, so let me know in the comments any constructive criticism that can help me. 1, 2, 3, 4, because we're doing a 4-2. And now the last 2 are the ones we're going to be working on. So half double crochet, as we've been doing before. Oops, let me find that. Okay, there we go. 1, 2, 3 loops, and we pull through all of them. Now we yarn over, pull up a loop, we have 1, 2, 3, and then we pull through all of them. Look at how tighter that is. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 half double crochet. I think I will be doing a whole series on that just to practice. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 to increase. Find that second chain, those last 2, and then half double crochet. And then half double crochet. Awesome. Now turn your work, go through that space, which is going to be tighter, so just have a little bit more patience. 1 and 2. And now we do 2 half double crochet. Pull through all of the loops because it's a half double crochet, and then another one right there. 1 and 2. Now that was a row 2. It is easy to get lost sometimes, so that's why it's good to check your work and count. So we have 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. We chain 4 because we are increasing. So now we go right there and do a half double crochet and another half double crochet. And now we turn our work. We slip stitch right there, and then we chain 2. Remember that you're doing the 2HDC 4-2. It sounds so technical, but I don't know, I like it. Helps me remember. So now we do our 2 half double crochet, slip stitch, and chain 2. And if you want to learn more about how you can use these different techniques, in the description box and leaving the link so you can see what kind of projects you can do with each of them. You will want to save some for something that has more pixels or squares, and other ones are going to be for lighter projects or ones that need a little bit more gap or that the image is not as important. So now that we are decreasing, let's turn our work and let's find those gaps. Now we have 2. So 1 slip stitch, Again, have patience because it can get tighter. And the second one is right there. I made my chains a little bit too tight, so I had to work a lot to get it through. So that's a mental note for me, not to work those so tight. Parts of the learning, 1 and 2. And now, yes, I can get it. I promise I can get it. Okay, there we go. Slip stitch, go through and then find that space. Remember that we just did 2. So now we're going to chain 2 and 2 and continue our work. 2 half double crochet. That was 1, and now another one. Now we just keep working. Slip stitch, chain 2, and now we have double crochet. This is a really good practice for when you have to do, for example, the back of a pillow. Sometimes you don't have to be changing colors for that. So you just will continue to do this all over until you finish the entire rows. There we go. We are going to decrease. So slip stitch. Oop, I'm suffering again, but I can do it. And slip stitch once more. Now we go for that space. And then 1 and 2 chains because we're not increasing, we are decreasing. Now we go through the space and half double crochet. One and 2, half double crochet in the space and slip stitch. I hope by now you are getting the groove of it because it really gets in your hands and in your body. 1, oops, I can do it. Have faith in me. 1 and 2, and now we slip stitch. So now let's find those spaces, slip stitch 1, and now we find the other one and slip stitch 2. I survived, I made it. There was light after the tunnel. And now we just go through space and chain 2 and do our last square. Yay! And now we go through a space and we slip stitch right there. And now we're just gonna finish right there just so I can show you. Again, this is where you will snip up that end or do a border, but for the sake of this tutorial, we're just gonna finish it there. Look at how tiny it is. Some little gaps, but so cute. So let's compare. DC63. Look at how tiny. Now we have the 5-2 with double crochet and the 5-2 with half double crochet. If you want to learn how to do this big one, that tutorial is coming. And it's super easy and very cozy. Remember that you can find much more on my YouTube channel, on my website cozy2crochet.com, or in my Etsy shop if you want the patterns without ad and printable versions. Remember to subscribe and to give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Let me know in the comments if this is helpful for you and if there is anything that I can improve. And for now, I will see you on the next tutorial or free pattern of Cozy to Crochet. This is Carlos. Ciao, people.